The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Here's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove Football Show. We are talking NFL draft. As a matter of fact, we're doing a live NFL mock draft with some help from some other Belly Up Sports team members. So that's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove Football Show. Welcome into an all-new edition of the Sports Stove Football Show presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code STOVE15. That's STOVE15. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. Well, we are a week away, Dad, from the NFL draft, and I am super stoked about it. I'm Vince Stover, joined as I am every week by my dad, Dale Stover. How you doing, Dad?
Doing good. Like you said, the draft's one of the most exciting times of the year. And so really looking forward. And this one, it's kind of hard to have an idea of how it's going to go. So really looking forward to it. Of course, it's in Green Bay this year. So a lot of excitement up there. And I've been trying to keep up with everything going on. People are going to enjoy their time up there in Green Bay and learn a lot about the Green Bay area. So, and there'll be a lot of exciting things, I'm sure, on the draft since it's up there. Just information given out too. So yeah, I'm excited. Hard to believe, a week away.
It is. So next week, obviously on Thursday, we won't do a Sports Stove episode because, Belly Up will be doing their draft special, and I'll be a part of that on Thursday as well. So next week, we plan on Tuesday night having an episode that will jump out there. Just follow us on social media at Sports Stove. We'll announce time and location, all that good stuff, but like to get one more draft episode out before the draft comes out on Thursday. So we're definitely excited about it. And in preparation, I've been sharing a lot of my thoughts about the draft in the last several weeks, and I thought it'd be good to get some other voices coming too. So we decided to do a live mock draft, and we've brought in some help to do so. So let's introduce our guests. We'll start off with DJ Stewart. He's co-host of the High Low Sports Podcast and a valuable member of the Belly Up Sports Network as well. DJ, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Thank you all so much for having me. I'm excited. It's the best time of the year sports-wise, arguably, and I can't wait. This draft's going to be pure chaos after the first 4 picks, it feels like.
I agree. And DJ is going to be hosting the Belly Up Sports Draft Live Show. I don't know. I should have checked to see what we were calling it. I apologize, but he'll be the one in charge, emceeing the way through the NFL draft on Thursday night, first round on the Belly Up Sports Network on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel as well. And then we'll bring in as well Stacy Morgan. He is the host of Morgan Man Sports with a focus on Atlanta sports, Atlanta Falcons, and some esports, Call of Duty, and all that good stuff too. Stacy, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great, Vince. Hope y'all are as well. I'm excited for this episode and next week for the draft.
For sure. Atlanta is, we'll talk about it when we get to 15, but they're really one of the more intriguing teams in this first round because at 15, it's kind of like, they got some needs, obviously, they can fill. And then I want to talk to you. We'll talk about it at 15. I want to talk about Kirk Cousins a little bit when we get there too, and get some thoughts on that. But all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of roll through these. I'm going to take pick 1. DJ's at pick 2. Stacy's at pick 3. And then we'll just go every 3 picks from there. Dad is the MC of this show, and Lord only knows where this party's about to head. So, Dad, it's all yours, my friend.
All right. Well, good. We're ready to go here. I'm excited about this because I've been looking at the draft and mock drafts. They are all so different this year. Seem like more than before. So I'm glad tonight we're going to be able to clear the air and find out exactly who's going to be drafted. So people, I hope everybody's tuned in, and this will be great. So we'll start out. Tennessee Titans on the clock. Vince, who we got?
All right, this one's just easy. That's why I figured I'd take it. I wouldn't waste anybody else's time with it. Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami. It's just one of those deals. We've known it's going to be Cam Ward for a while. We had some questions of whether or not Tennessee would trade out, but it seems like now for the last couple of weeks it's been set in stone. So it's an easy one. If you're a mock drafter and you get this one wrong, you've done something way off. So, I go Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami.
All right. I think we were expecting that. So let's go to number 2, the Cleveland Browns. DJ, who we got?
We're not gonna have too many bells or whistles. We're gonna keep it simple. We're gonna go with Travis Hunter. Cleveland needs a lot of positions. Travis Hunter can help you fill 2 of them. And I was lucky enough to live in Cleveland for 2 years. Up until the season starts, they will call him Odell Beckham Jr. in his prime and Patrick Surtain in his prime. But then by October, they'll be mad at him. So I'm excited. I think they need a lot of help, and he's the best player in the draft target.
I agree, by the way, DJ. He's been number 1 on my big board from day one. And I know Abdul Carter's been up there for a lot of people, and no one's going to argue with you on it, but I think he's the best player in this draft also.
Yeah, quite a player. I think he can definitely make a difference on any team, and Cleveland can definitely use that. So, all right, now to the Big Apple, New York Giants on the clock. Stacy, what we got?
Well, Vince stole my pick because I was originally going to pick Cam Warden to go to the Giants. But we can change that around, obviously. Let's pick Jalen Milroe from Alabama.
Wow. Up there at number 3, rolling through with Jalen Milroe. Hey, he's a flag on the play. He's invited. He's there. He's going to be in Green Bay, sitting there watching. Stacy, explain to me why quarterback. Why do the Giants have to go quarterback at 3?
Well, it's kind of just what you call with the 4-letter word that starts with an S up there in the Giants' territory anyways. So they really need to focus on the future, I do believe. Russell Wilson, obviously, is just not there for the Giants. I do believe he might get them a few more wins than they did last season. But other than that, they need to focus on the future. And that's where I believe Jalen Milroe will come in handy at.
Okay.
All right, next pick of the New England Patriots. And since we couldn't get Elliott Wolf here, Vince, what do we got?
All right. So the big question mark at 4 is very simple. I think simple to the point of if quarterback goes at 3, then it's 1 pick. If quarterback doesn't go at 3, then it's another pick. And I think the options are between Will Campbell, left tackle out of LSU, and Abdul Carter, edge rusher out of Penn State. And so this one, to me, I think Abdul Carter's the second best player in this draft. If he falls to 4, I don't think it'll take long for New England to take him. And although they need to protect Drake May, ultimately Abdul Carter's best player on the board. So I'm going to Abdul Carter, edge rusher out of Penn State, there to jump into Vrabel's defense and start playing there in New England.
All right, Abdul Carter, that's a good one. Okay, down to Jacksonville, Florida. And DJ, what we got?
I think this is one of the spots that Jacksonville's very live to trade out of. I think they're going to look at the board. Those elite 2 to 3 guys are gone. They're like, you know what? We like Mason Graham, but there's like 9 really good defensive tackles, so we might trade back. However, since we're going to stick and pick, I'm going to say Will Campbell's right there. You spent 90% of the state of Florida's income to pay Trevor Lawrence. You use Will Campbell to try and keep him upright. So we'll take Will Campbell out of LSU, the tackle, to try and keep your franchise safe.
All right, so I want to ask this question with this pick with Jacksonville, because I think Jacksonville's intriguing. You're right. They got to protect the quarterback. They have to. Mason Graham is in no way a sexy pick, right? Everyone's mocking him there, but he's no way the sexy pick to take there. Now, I did hear, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah talking about, you look at the scout, at the GM, where he comes from with the Rams. They've picked some shorter arm defensive linemen that have turned out pretty well. But again, I think you can find some of those later on in the draft too. I'm curious, DJ, did you consider Ashton Genty at 5 to Jacksonville?
More than I'd like to admit. I really looked at it and I was like, this would make a lot of sense. You're in a division with Jonathan Taylor at running back. You got the Titans. If Cam Ward, you expect them to be more explosive. And then, of course, CJ Stroud, if they can protect him somewhat remotely. One way you can counter that is by keeping the ball away. But I think when you spent so much money on Trevor Lawrence, and it was outside of 8 games in 2022, it's been a miserable run for the most part. I think they're going to look to try and protect him. Mason Graham's a great player, top 7 player in the draft, arguably, but you can't take him at 5. He doesn't impact the game from a pass rusher perspective enough, in my opinion.
Sure. I like it.
All right. No doubt Trevor Lawrence will be very excited about that pick. That's for sure. All right. Now we're next pick, commitment to excellence, and we'll go to the Las Vegas Raiders. Stacy?
Yes, sir. So I have Luther Burden, the third wide receiver out of Missouri.
All right.
The reason why I'm choosing him is because of the Devontae Adams release back earlier this year. They really need someone that's going to be a star-studded player, and Missouri definitely had a top-tier offense. And with Pete Carroll coming in, he loves wide receivers. Take, for example, DK Metcalf. So you train him like that. Luther Burden right there. I think you got to start in the wide receiver position this year.
Yeah,
I'm lower on Burden than a lot of people. And I still think he's going to be a decent player. And, if he ended up in Green Bay, I'd be okay with that in the second round. But Burden to me is this guy that had a lot of hype and then didn't live up to it, in my opinion, at the very least. Vegas needs playmakers, no doubt about that.
Yeah, I watched him a lot this year, and I think Burden is going to be a good one. There are several top 3 or 4 receivers, but I don't think probably, they'll go wrong with him. And since they got their quarterback, that's a good pick there. All right, Vince, you're with the New York Jets.
Boy, this is a hard one for me because I've got it down to 2 guys. I've got Armand Menbo, the right tackle. That's, odds on the best right tackle in the draft. And then I also got Tyler Warren, who's the tight end out of Penn State that everyone claims is going to be drafted incredibly high this year. I like playmakers. I think about the Jets and I go kind of the same thing we talked about with Jacksonville. Justin Fields comes in. He's only got a 2-year contract, but you're going to have to give him the best way to succeed. And I don't think that there's an offensive player. I guess Tyler Warren could help for sure, but I think you got to protect him the most. And so I'm going to go Armand Membo, the right tackle here at number 7. And, I'm still working on my final mock draft, my 4.0, and I'm still really struggling with who the Jets are going to go with. And so I think, honestly, if Mason Graham's still there, I think that's an option. I think Tyler Warren is an option as well. But I think Membo is the pick here at 7.
All right. A great tackle there. The way the draft's going here, we're going to have a lot of good players left here for sure at the middle. So now we're to a team that needs a lot of good players, Carolina. Who you got, DJ?
This is interesting because on paper it's like take Mason Graham, but Derek Brown's an all-pro caliber defensive tackle that was just out of last year. So when he comes back, I think that'd be a little redundancy. That's a whole lot of girth in the middle, and you still can't get around the edge. There's no edge you necessarily love here, so we're going to shake it up just a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and take Tyler Warren here. I think they just need playmakers outside of Chuba Hubbard. They just need somebody to catch the ball and make plays. Adam Thielen's only going to be in his 30s for like 3 more minutes, it feels like. You can't keep depending on him, so I'm going to say they go Tyler Warren just to get a playmaker that's worth the value at 9. But at 8, But I think they also look to either trade back or fly up the board to get Abdul Carter.
Yeah, Dad, I don't think Carolina can go wrong at this pick. Like they have so many needs, right? If they ended up going Mason Graham, you'd be like, okay, well, yeah, I wouldn't be my pick, but you could see it, best player available, whatever. I think Jalen Carter is an option on the edge. Ashton Genty available here. You think about the years they had with Christian McCaffrey and just the need for playmakers, but Warren's a playmaker too. I like that pick, DJ.
And if Bryce gets banged up, he'll take the snaps too.
Yeah.
Okay, Stacy, now we're at the Big Easy, New Orleans.
Well, I have the New Orleans Saints picking Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman, Michigan. It's plain and simple. The New Orleans Saints, their secondary was fine this past year, but that defensive line, they allowed so many rushing yards that it was in top 5 in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, or top 10. And that's something that the Saints has never done before. So they really need to clean that up this coming season. And I believe that Kenneth Grant from Michigan can definitely help out in that situation.
And Stacey, you got a new coach in New Orleans, obviously, and Kellen Moore down there. You're a Falcons fan, same division. and all of those sorts of things. When you look at the Saints as they sit right now, Derek Carr, although he's injured and may not play at all this season, you got Spencer Rattler, right? Like, is there any, as a Falcon fan, any fear that New Orleans is going to do anything this year?
If I had to put on a scale from 1 to 0, 1 being the lowest, I would say probably a 3, just because they got the Kellen Moore from the Lions, wasn't it, right?
He came over from Philadelphia Eagles.
Philadelphia, yeah. So definitely it was a good offense that he ran right there. So that makes me a little bit more nervous that he can cook up a scheme on offense. But with all that, it's just the Saints. I just don't have no confidence in them this year.
Yeah, me neither.
All right, now the Chicago Bears, and Vince, don't make a mistake here, because you get the draft for them. So
Right. I could probably do as good as Poles, honestly, in Chicago. I feel the way this draft is laying out, the Bears would be crazy to pass on Ashton Genty at this point. You look at, again, they're looking with Ben Johnson. He comes over from Detroit. He has this two-headed monster at running back in Detroit that has been so successful. I don't think I'd be shocked if Ashton Genty's here at 10. But if he is, I would imagine Chicago would not take long to make this decision as well. So I'm going to go Ashton Genty, running back, Boise State, to the Chicago Bears.
He's there at 10. They better hand the card to their fastest player roughly 4 seconds into their pick and they get this done right away. We're not sugarcoating it or lollygagging at all. Definitely.
And you know what, Dad, I heard this week, you're hearing a lot of stuff leading up to the draft, a lot of it's smoke or whatever, but they're saying at 10, it's tight end. If Tyler Warren's there, they'll take him. If he's not, Colston Loveland would go there as well. But that's assuming that Genty's gone earlier as well. So I'll stick with Genty here, but that's an intriguing note, I think, as well, to see that Chicago's looking to make some moves that are going to help out Caleb Williams. And even though they need a tackle there, which, Will Campbell's gone at this point in this draft. So I think it makes sense to get another star player.
Yeah, Genty would be definitely, potential to be a real big help for them. So, and like I said, it's a little surprising he's probably here at this point. So, all right, next one is a team that, to me, we're really surprised is picking this early in the draft, but they are this year. So, DJ, you have the Niners.
This board fell really nicely for them because a lot of the things they need are available. I think they need defensive tackle. They're just getting thin on the D-line. And they need defensive back, losing Ward in free agency, et cetera. So they can just kind of look at the University of Michigan's roster last year and be like, wow, let's take one of them. Between Will Johnson and Mason Graham, I'm going to give the edge to Mason Graham just because I have him higher rated. And I think he helps just fortify the center so Nick Bosa can fly around the edge and stop the run in that division. So I'm going to take Mason Graham, although Will Johnson's very much alive here too.
All right, Graham. Yeah, again, he's one that's still available there. Again, if people are going to start trading up, there's some players here that would make some sense. So now another team, boy, I wish I could pick for them. But anyhow, the Dallas Cowboys, not my favorite for sure. All right, Stacy, what we got?
All right, I'm bringing the hometown native, Jarrett Wilson, interior offensive lineman from the University of Georgia, to the Cowboys.
Oh, wow. O-line in Dallas.
Yes, sir. Look, Dak Prescott, I think he's on the hot seat this season. Hasn't been really performing well. Like, during the regular season, he can perform well, but Dallas is in that position, I do believe, where they need to make the playoffs or it's a bust for Dak Prescott. So if I'm Jerry Jones, give him the help that he needs. And if he still can't perform, Dak Prescott's out of there after the season.
Yeah, I wondered if Prescott was going to be a trade target this offseason. I thought maybe teams like Tennessee, teams like Cleveland could be interested possibly in a Dak Prescott. Ultimately, I think the price tag's a little high for him to make that trade for sure. But yeah, you're at this point now, new coach again. Offense has not really been the issue. Health has been an issue for Dak for sure. I'm intrigued to see how they do to help. They're going to help Dak, I think, one way or the other, whether it's go with the playmaker. I've had Matthew Golden mocked to Dallas for a while now. A lot of people are saying Ted McMillan there, Amarian Hampton possibly there too. So when you look at that offensive playmaker position, there's a lot of options there. Securing that line, and they need interior help for sure in Dallas as well. So offensive lineman at 12 is an option as well.
All right. Okay, the Miami Dolphins, Vince.
My goodness. So this is not going as I thought it was going to go. So I've got to figure out my board a little bit at this point. I think Miami is as a sneaky play for quarterback in this draft, by the way. I don't know that at 13 that would be the case. Maybe there's always one team, right, that's kind of doing something that no one knows about. Shadeur Sanders available and is more than likely going to be available at 13 would be intriguing, I think. But that's not where they're going to go here. I've got Will Johnson. I'll go with Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan. Jalen Ramsey is looking like he's going to get traded now, which really weakens the secondary for Miami. They got several needs. Tyreek Hill's has some issues too. So if they lose him, they're going to need some wide receiver help, and there's wide receivers on the board here. Jalen Walker's still on the board, an intriguing player too. But I'm going to go with Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan here to Miami.
All right, that'll be a good pick for them. Next, we got the Indianapolis Colts, a team that probably didn't again want to be picking this early, but right here in the middle of the round. So, DJ, what do we have for the Colts?
Me and the Colts have a love-hate relationship. I love them in the past, and I hate them right now. So this one's a painful one for me to pick here. But they spent a lot of money on secondary in the offseason, so I think they're going to be good there. I really think that if Shadeur Sanders is there, they will be looking to trade back because they are a trade-happy GM. But how the way the board is, Colston Loveland is right there. So in 3 of the 4 picks, we're going to have another Michigan Wolverine. I'm going to send Colston Loveland to the Colts. I think he's a top 10 player in the draft. I'm a huge Colston Loveland guy. He reminds me of Sam Laporta a lot, so I think he's going to be awesome. And the Colts have no quarterback, so you might as well get everything else around it till one falls into your lap eventually. So, or maybe he can make up for the Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson experiment that's going to drive my blood pressure up.
So my philosophy has always been rookie quarterbacks and not very good quarterbacks need elite tight ends. And I think that teams always look to give that security blanket out there for their quarterbacks. The quarterback situation in Indianapolis is crazy because Anthony Richardson has loads of talent, but he doesn't seem to have an NFL makeup. And Daniel Jones has experience and some athleticism, but I just can't imagine a move to Indianapolis is going to look a whole lot better than he did in New York. So this is an intriguing one, but I love to pick Colston Loveland to Indianapolis. They need a playmaker there in the middle.
If they took Shadeur here, I wouldn't even be mad. I'd be like, you know what? At least somebody that can hit the broadside of a barn. What's crazy with Anthony Richardson is he had the best throw of the NFL season, like 3 minutes into the season, that bomb to Alec Pierce 70 yards while falling, and was terrible every second after that. It's just like you started so high and plummeted so quickly.
I love it.
All right. Yeah, that's a great pick for Indianapolis. Now, let's see. Stacy, you got your team there. You can turn fortunes around for the Falcons. What do we got?
All right. So before I do reveal my pick tomorrow on my podcast episode, I do got a crazy shocker that the Falcons could potentially make, but I'm saving it right now. So, but for this podcast live stream right here specifically, one of the reveals I will mention for tomorrow is Mike Green, edge from Marshall University.
I like it. Now tell me about how do Falcons fans feel about the Kirk Cousins situation? Because right now you got a pretty solid backup quarterback in Kirk Cousins. Are they wanting to try to get something out of him, or are the fans okay with the way things have played out so far?
Well, I don't know. It's very touch and go. I can't really express words about it right now. I want to sit here and say that the Falcons are going to try to get something out of Kirk Cousins because that's a lot of money for a backup quarterback. So I say if Michael Penix Jr. does not perform well within the first 5 weeks, they go back to Kirk Cousins.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good safety blanket compared to many teams.
Yeah.
All right, I like it. I like Mike Green too.
All right. Yeah, Green will be a good one there. Okay, Vince, we got the Arizona Cardinals.
All right. So you look at the Cardinals, and man, I don't think they could pass on Jalen Walker here. He's still on the board. I really want the Cardinals to draft Emeka Egbuka. I want him to be opposite of Marvin Harrison Jr. The Ohio State connection there, I think, would be really cool to see. I think he's the best receiver in the draft. But if Jalen Carter's still on the board at 16, he is a Abdul Carter, Micah Parsons light. So understand when I say it that way. I don't think he's Micah Parsons. I don't think he's quite even Abdul Carter at this point, but he has some versatility. He can play inside downs 1 and 2, pop outside on third down and rush the quarterback from there. I think he's incredibly talented. If he can stay healthy, it's going to be a big part of it too. If he's on the board at 16, I just don't see the Cardinals passing on him. So I'll go Jalen Carter here, linebacker from Georgia.
All right. Yeah, it'd be a help to him there. Okay, DJ, I live here in southwestern Ohio, so I'm not a Bengals fan, but people are hoping they can get back to where they want them to be. So what's the pick here for the Bengals?
Can you imagine if I just broke all their hearts and gave him Shadeur Sanders right now, just to ruin everything since he's still sitting there? But the pick has to be defense. I mean, it just has to be defense. I'm going to go ahead and shake it up a little bit. I'm going to say they go into the secondary and they add Malachi Starks out of Georgia. He could be a little bit of a diet Jesse Bates, which they've been missing since he left. Kind of the same thing with Micah Parsons light. They need somebody back there to just make plays. I think somehow they're going to sign Trey Hendrickson. I don't know how. They'll find a way to figure it out, though. So he'll get after the passer. They just need somebody to get 2 to 3 takeaways and get that offense, or 2 or 3 stops, get that offense the ball. So I'll give him Malachi Starks.
All right, so DJ, let me ask you how you feel about Malachi Starks compared to Nick Emenwari. I actually have Emenwari above Starks, mainly because of just his physical ability, his size that goes with it. But I think they're very close talent-wise. So where do you lie in the Starks / Emenwari debate?
Kind of similar. I think Emenwari can do more. He's more versatile. He's Derwin James-esque in the way you could put him in so many different spots. I think Malachi Starks could be that deep center field safety. Like, I'm not going to say he's Earl Thomas. That's dramatic. But in a similar vein where you just stick him back there and he can make plays, I think they're going to look at that and he's a safer pick, I guess, if that makes sense. I think last year's tape was shaky, but the year before that, he's incredible. So you can't go wrong with either one. I think they're going to go with the one that looks a little more like Jesse Bates.
I like it.
All right. Next, we've got Stacy back here. I was afraid maybe that the Falcons didn't like your pick and they had sabotaged your internet there. But anyhow, hopefully that's not the case. So, all right, the Seattle Seahawks. Who are they going to take?
All right, so I do have the Seattle Seahawks picking Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State.
Now, I love Jaden Higgins, and I'm very partial because Jaden Higgins has been on my show before. He was a wide receiver at EKU before he transferred to Iowa State, and I got to go to all his home games and watch him at EKU, interviewed him multiple times, and I love the kid and the size that he has, the playmaking ability that he has. When I saw DK Metcalf leave Seattle, my first thought was Jaden Higgins makes sense. Ted McMillan, another guy that has some size, but he is not as physical. Jaden Higgins I believe, drew more pass interference penalties than any other receiver in college football last season. And he has the size, the strength, and just the mindset about him. I think whoever gets Jaden Higgins is going to be incredibly lucky. I am begging the football gods to have him drop to Green Bay in round 2. Because they're not going to take a receiver in round 1. So I'm begging that he falls. But I like Jaden Higgins a lot, and I think Seattle would be fortunate to have him.
All right. Next be Tampa Bay. Vince, you love the quarterback there, Baker Mayfield. Who do you have going with to help him?
Yeah, I've been on the Baker train for many years now, and I argued with our old friend Josh Schmader a while back about Baker Mayfield and his impact in Tampa, and I was proud to say right in that argument. But there's a lot of needs here for Tampa. They have defensive needs, edge, linebacker, cornerback as well. They just seem to be a team. I think they're going to trade down, by the way. I think Tampa will move down in this draft because they're in that perfect spot for a quarterback needy team to come up and get ahead of Pittsburgh, which we'll talk about more in a minute. But I'm going to go with Mykel Williams, the other edge for Georgia. I think there's a lot of options here. But I think that's what I'll go with. I like Mykel Williams a lot, the athleticism that he brings, the toughness that he brings too. And so I'll go that. Mykel Williams, edge rusher, Georgia.
He's got some pterodactyl-like arms too. Like if they could just kind of harness that and mold him, he's going to be so difficult to deal with. He's going to be able to punch the offensive lineman from like 6 yards away.
Yeah. Yeah. And that coach is a good fit. I think, defensive wise that's a big deal too. Yeah.
All right. Yep, that's interesting that he's still available there. So we will see. Next, we got Denver Broncos. DJ, where do you think they're going to go?
In the same vein as Tampa, I think they're very much live to trade out of the spot and go back, especially if Shadeur's there. Once again, to jump Pittsburgh. For the sake of sticking and picking, we're going to go ahead and go a little outside the box a little bit. I'm going to give them a Marion Hampton out of North Carolina. They don't really have a running back on the roster that stands out. And Sean McPayton loves some running backs. So I think Hampton out of UNC makes a ton of sense. He could just be the bulldozer that leads to play action bombs from Bo Nix. So I'm going to give him a Marion Hampton.
I'll give you a prediction for this draft. I think the Broncos move up to get Hampton. The other option is if a tight end starts to fall a little bit, but I think Sean Payton has last year. He showed everybody that if he thinks he's right, he's going to prove that he's right. So I think if he likes somebody again in this draft, the way that the level of talent is kind of very blended in this draft, I think he moves up maybe 4 spots, 5 spots, somewhere in that range to get the guy that he wants. I love the fit for Hampton and Denver. I like the fit for Hampton in a lot of places, but I like the fit for Hampton and Denver.
I think Travion Henderson could be a live pick here, someone who could do both, almost like Alvin Kamara-esque.
Yeah, I think running back is really good for Denver there. So, all right, got the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of talk going on there. Who do we have, Stacy?
Oh Lord, has DJ? Have you said Shadeur yet?
He's still there.
Well, he's off the board, going to the Steelers.
Shadeur Sanders, quarterback, Colorado. His Aaron Rodgers-esque fall finally ends at Pittsburgh. I like that. Man, has Pittsburgh hasn't recovered since picking Kenny Pickett around this same area. I'm interested to see if Sanders, the hype is real there in Pittsburgh or not.
Yeah, like I know Dion wants Shadeur to go to like a well-established organization like a 49ers or something. But hey, the Steelers have still got a rich history. They make the playoffs every year despite low productivity. And I think it's still a good fit for Shadeur to go there.
When in doubt, throw it to DK. That's his only game plan he needs.
It's right. All right, Dad.
All right, Vince. Everybody's kind of going away on mine there. You're back, but.
All right. Well, what we're going to do, Dad, I'm going to take you off. We're going to let you jump on. You might have to jump on another device, okay? All right. We're going to pop Dad off. I'll send him that as well. All right. So we are at the Chargers at 22. And is it my pick? Am I up? Yeah. All right. Chargers at 22. Man, lots of options again here. They need a lot of help. They need wide receiver help. They need playmakers as well. They need some defensive help too. Give me. Let's go Teteroa McMillan here, wide receiver. They need a playmaker. They need someone that can come in and make a difference there. And so I'm going to go with Ted McMillan here to the Chargers at 22. That brings us to Green Bay. Don't screw this up, DJ. All right. Give us somebody good. Who you got going here to Green Bay?
I will mention I do love the Ted McMillan I did to the Chargers. If he does fall to them, he is a perfect complement to Ladd McConkey, just very different play styles. I think that fits perfectly.
Yep.
For Green Bay, after what they did to you in the first round last year, I still remember the exasperated sigh of who is that from that pick. So we're not going to go Jordan Morgan this year. There is the concern. There was the rumor, is Yair going to stay? Is he going to go, etc. I think that's still, there's a little smoke, there's a little fire. If not, they do need secondary help regardless. So I'm going to go with Shadeur Sanders, the corner out of Texas.
Okay.
He reminds me a lot of Brian Branch, that you can move him from safety to nickel. He could tackle. He could fit in the run. He could do a lot of things. I think he made just a versatile piece that they could use. Jahad Campbell's very much in the mix, but I'm going to go secondary just in case Yair is on the move.
Yeah, I think had Cooper, their third round pick, I think last year, linebacker, wasn't a hit the way that he was. Campbell would definitely be an option here. I think that there's an opportunity there for them with that changing a little bit, with him being so good last year, that they can be patient at that position a little bit more. So yeah, I like the pick at cornerback. I think it's a wise pick for Green Bay because they've missed a couple times at cornerback. Eric Stokes, who now is with Las Vegas, never turned out to be what they thought he was going to be. And Alexander is great when he plays. He just hasn't played in forever. His attitude stinks.
It's a great 4.5 games you got him.
Right, exactly. So I like the pick of Barron. I think we got Dad back here. Let's bring him back in. All right, Dad. So we got Jahdae Barron, Texas cornerback, goes to Green Bay. And I've already forgotten. Oh, Ted McMillan to the Chargers at 22. So you pick it back up with the purple people eating machine down there.
There we go. The Minnesota Vikings. All right.
So I will be selecting for the Minnesota Vikings Xavier Watts, safety from Notre Dame.
Watts, safety, Notre Dame. Minnesota, I think they trade out of this pick ultimately. But safety helps. I got that. Safety help is something that's big on my board for them as well. I think they have a lot of needs in Minnesota, more than you'd realize for a team that won so many games last year. I want to get your guys' thought, DJ and Stacy, on this. They move on from Sam Darnold. I have spent plenty of time on my show explaining why J.J. McCarthy's not the answer in Minnesota, and the fans are going to regret chasing Sam Darnold out. But that's my opinion. So I want to get your guys' opinion. Sam Darnold, he's now in Seattle. Minnesota chooses not to pay the money to him to go with J.J. McCarthy. So, DJ, let's start with you. Your thoughts on the quarterback situation in Minnesota.
I'll admit to, I had J.J. McCarthy as QB6 last year, and not really a close QB6. He was kind of the outlier. He's still 21 years old or 22 years old. He's still a child, so I won't rule him out. But I feel like when I watch him for that 2.5 quarters, he's going to kind of be Sam Darnold a little bit. So I think it's going to end up being a lateral move, just a cheaper one. So I don't know about it. I don't want to rule anybody out that I've only seen play 2 quarters of preseason football at this point. But I was not the biggest fan of him coming out. I think he could have used another year in Michigan. Granted, Michigan got rid of everybody that year, but still, I think they're going to regret it right now. That's for sure. Maybe in a year or two, once he's gets to his quarter life crisis. But for now, he's so young, and he went a game where he went 20 consecutive plays without throwing the ball. There's a lot of rawness to him, which I think they're going to feel that early on next year.
I like it. Stacy, any thoughts on the Vikings quarterback situation?
Yeah, I think Sam Darnold definitely deserved at least another year in Minnesota because he brought them back to the playoffs, since 2019, 2020, right in there. So it's definitely a long drought for Minnesota, and for them to be back in the playoffs. Granted, yes, it got smoked by the Lions, but still, though, they made it to the playoffs. They had a lot of improvements from the previous year, and for them just to up and quit Sam Darnold, yeah, I think this will bite them in the butt.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been very vocal about this. So hopefully we get a lull in the draft show on Thursday about it, and I can share it with the world as well. All right, Dad, I'm not sure if we got you. We got you? Oh, your microphone's not working. So I don't know what's going on with that. Give him one chance to check it. May have connected. All right. While he's working on that, let me pull him off real quick. We're at Houston Texans at 25. Offensive line is a big need in Houston. And so I'm going to go Kelvin Banks, the Texas left tackle. Here they've got gaps. And CJ Stroud, you don't want this to turn into another Carr situation where they got to peel him off the turf every single game and he has to quit football. So I love Kelvin Banks. He was one of the top rated tackles coming into this process. He's fallen pretty hard since that beginning of the process, but he still has the talent. And really, when people look at the Georgia tape is when they kind of pick on Kelvin Banks. But again, I got 2 edge rushers from Georgia going in the first round. Give Kelvin Banks a little bit of a break there, and let's see what he can do in the NFL. So I'm going to go Houston, taking Kelvin Banks, the left tackle out of Texas. All right, Dad, you there?
Made a lot of people look bad, so that's not fair to him. Georgia makes a lot of people look bad over the last few years.
You're exactly right. All right, Dad. No, we still don't got you. We switched devices. The video works great, but the microphone is not there.
All good. Next up, it looks like I have the Rams. So
Yep.
for the Rams, what would be fun is to give you Matthew Golden, just to give a 4-2 speed guy to go with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. That's as Sean McVay written all over Matthew Stafford's arm. I won't do that, but it would be fun. I'm going to go with Nick Emenwari, the safety out of South Carolina. I'm also, just like you, a big fan on him. He's arguably, in my opinion, the best defensive player on the board. Him and Jahad Campbell, I just think Emenwari fits a lot more issues for that Rams defense, since they won the NFC West and their defense was shaky, is what we'll say. And I think that just helps them out. I think that just gives them a versatile piece.
Yeah. Did you consider quarterback at all here?
If Shadeur was there, maybe, but otherwise, like when you sign Stafford for that deal, and you sign Devontae Adams, like we got to win now. Like we'll figure quarterback out later. We'll have one really bad year in 2 years. We got first round picks again. We'll figure that out later. So I think right now it's all in, go get W's.
Yeah, I think the Devontae Adams signing is probably the big issue here. He goes from the Green Bay to go play with Carr in Las Vegas as college quarterback. That didn't work out. Garoppolo steps in. Adams not happy, which is funny because Garoppolo's the backup in LA. He goes into the Jets and plays with his old buddy Aaron Rodgers, does fine. Now looking where to sign. He ends up, getting out to LA. Veteran quarterback, Matt Stafford is a friend of Devontae Adams. He's a friend of Aaron Rodgers. That relationship has been over the years in the NFC North is where that's built. I think Devontae Adams has been promised that, if they draft a quarterback, it's not for this year. So it might be a 2nd round quarterback or a 3rd round quarterback or a 4th round quarterback. But this year it's about winning football games. I agree as well. All right. That brings us to the Baltimore Ravens at 27. Stacy, what are you thinking for Baltimore?
Definitely Baltimore needs a lot of help in that secondary. So I'm picking Jalen Smith, cornerback USC.
USC cornerback Jalen Smith there for Baltimore. I love Baltimore's drafting. I mean, they're so smart. And I feel like whenever they make a pick, even if it's not what I thought they were going to do, I just go, you know what? They're probably right. So I like what Baltimore does. They have definitely some needs there, and I'm intrigued to see which direction they go there as well. All right, the Detroit Lions. You're always looking for that Campbell-esque player, the guy that's going to bite the kneecaps and all that good stuff. I'm going to go Walter Nolan, defensive tackle of Ole Miss. He's got some off the field issues, small issues, I think. But he's just got that physicalness. Derek Harmon's probably the better D tackle that's available here, but Nolan's incredibly talented. And I think I like Mike Green in this spot too. He's already been drafted in this mock draft. So he's out there. And there's a few guys. I think Shamar Stewart would be a good fit here too from South Carolina, but I'm going to go Walter Nolan, D-line here for Detroit.
Walter Nolan feels like he could very easily go in the top 12 too. Like he can go very easily top 12 where he can slip back here. Him and Kenneth Grant, I could feel like one of them is going to go in the top 15. It's just a matter of which one.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right. One of the most improved teams last year and made some incredible moves this offseason is the Washington Commanders. DJ, what do you got going on there?
That offense is set, so we're not even going to touch that right now. It was great last year. He brought in Debo, Laramie Tunzel. We're not even going to worry about offense. We're going to look at defense. Jahad Campbell, in my opinion, is a top 10 player in the draft overall. Positional value obviously shakes up where he goes, but he can rush the passer. You could play off ball. Dan Quinn's going to have a lot of fun with him. We saw what he did with Micah Parsons. Not to that same extent, we'll see with Jahad Campbell, but he'll have a lot of fun. So the Commanders steal Jahad Campbell.
I like it. And his shoulder issue has caused him from the mock drafters position to fall a little bit. A lot of people had him up in the teens for a while there. And, but it doesn't sound like it's anything to be super concerned about. And again, tons of talent there too. So I love that pick.
Not gonna lie, I think he's very high on the Colts board too. I think the Colts will take him. If I want Colston Loveland, I will die on that train. But I think they are going to more likely to take Jahad Campbell.
Okay, all right. Let's see here. We're to the Buffalo Bills now at 30. Stacy, you've had some wide receiver picks earlier. I like the Jaden Higgins fit in Buffalo. You got him going to Seattle earlier. So what do you got going on with Buffalo?
Well, I actually have the Bills choosing defensive lineman Joshua Farmer from Florida State.
Okay. Joshua Farmer.
Yeah, because it seems like the Bills, it's just, I don't know, they're so great during the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, especially against the Chiefs, the stock just falls just drastically. So I think Joshua Farmer could help in the situation. Look, he was part of that 2023 Florida State Seminoles total dominance until, UGA just ran all over them in Miami down there. But still, though, I think Joshua Farmer could be a prospect that the Bills could look at to improve that D-line.
Okay. All right. That brings us to Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs have all kinds of needs, but they've got to protect Patrick Mahomes when it counts. And they were not able to do that in the Super Bowl. I'm going to go Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from Ohio State. And, you look at the board right now, there's some really good players out there, guys that can make a difference on the edge, guys that could make a difference on offense. But ultimately, if they don't protect the quarterback, they won't make it back to the Super Bowl. And I think that's obviously their goal. So I like Josh Simmons a lot. I have a hard time placing him in my mock drafts because I feel like his talent should put him higher, but his injuries and he's got that ability to play inside, play outside. I think he fits at tackle in the NFL, but he can play guard if he needs to as well. And I think Kansas City is a great fit for Josh.
If the injury thing ends up not being a concern, or it gets brushed on the rug, he's gone by this pick, guaranteed. He's that good. And if Kansas City sees him, they'll go like, oh, yeah, we will take that shot 100% of the time. That we got to keep Patrick upright. So
definitely. And I really think these spots 27 on down are obviously potential trade-up spots for teams to come up and get a quarterback if they really want one. I still kind of sit on the fact that I think only 3 quarterbacks are going in round 1, and I think that's Ward, Sanders, and Dart. And I think the other guys, I think Milroe and Shuck will wait till the second round and be taken pretty early in the second round. But I don't know. I feel like teams are starting to learn a little bit. Don't go chasing things that aren't a surefire thing for the most part. That brings us to the Eagles, the champions from last season. There's some offseason moves that happened there with retirements, free agency, and you still talk about Dallas Goedert getting traded at some point too. DJ, who you got going with Philadelphia?
Another one very live. Maybe the Browns trade back up here. Then the Eagles are like, all right, we'll pick in 2 spots. We'll be just fine. Maybe if they wanted to go get a quarterback, but we're sticking and picking the most Eagles pick possible in this draft. We're going to give him Shadeur Stewart, the edge out of Texas A&M. Arguably could have gone so much higher. Outstanding athlete. I mean, 270 and ran a 4.59. Mm-hmm. It's like when they took Nolan Smith 2 years ago. You didn't need it, but he was there and he's awesome. And this means you don't have to pay a different edge in a week. So Shadeur Stewart just makes the most sense for the Eagles. They lock and load offensive and defensive line, and so it just makes too much sense. And all the NFC East is gonna hate every moment of it.
Listen, right now with what Philadelphia and Washington are doing, I think what Philadelphia will do in the draft and what Washington has already done, Cowboys and Giants are sitting there going, stinks. Like we're just in deep doo-doo for a long time right now in this division.
Is a 5-year plan.
Yes. Yeah. But I love the Shadeur Stewart. He doesn't have the stats in college, but he's got everything that makes sense for him to be successful. And I think he's, you look at Jadeveon Clowney, who had one big moment in college and then kind of took off from there. He's around. He's still playing. He's a good football player. I think from what we see from Shadeur Stewart is he has that freakish athleticism, but he has more of the motor, I think, even, which is where the production eventually is going to come from. And I think in the NFL, he's going to have people on the other side that are going to be really, really good too. And so it's going to open things up for him. I think Shadeur Stewart, potentially defensive rookie of the year, when it's all said and done, especially if he ends up in Philadelphia. That would make it that much easier, I think, for that award to go.
I do have a friend who works at Texas A&M as part of the athletic staff, and Stewart was playing with an injury all of last year too. It was I think it was like not a fracture, but it was something in his lower leg, so that obviously hindered him. Plus, they didn't have him rush the passer, quote unquote, a lot. It was a lot of contain, almost like just kind of fill your gap, so he wasn't teeing off. So I think if you draft him at like 7, 8, or 9, he's going to end up being a bust. And it's like, why'd you draft a guy who doesn't rush the passer? You draft him here or Kansas City, he's in like 2 years back. How did we let them go this far in the draft? How do we do this again? They can't keep getting away with it. So I think it all depends on where he goes. But like you said, that talent is through the roof.
Sure. All right, Stacy, tell everybody about your show, where they can find it, and what your plans are for next Thursday night.
So definitely the name of the show is Morgan Man Sports. Cover Atlanta Falcons and Call of Duty League esports news and coverage. Next Thursday, I will be a part of the mega show that we are doing for the NFL draft. I will be picking seeing the pick for the Falcons at that 15th overall position. But yeah, you can find my podcast, anywhere, Spotify, Apple, or on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. And definitely tune in tomorrow, because what I have predicted for the Falcons might send shockwaves throughout the entire NFL world. So guys, listen, it's going to be epic. Y'all might call me crazy, stupid, or smart. It's one of the two or three.
Probably call you stupid until after the draft, and if it turns out, then it's smart, right? Which is what we get for predicting anything, trying to predict anything. Stacy, I appreciate you, man. You got great stuff going on over there at Morgan Man, and we'll talk to you. Probably see you next Thursday.
Yes, sir. It's been an honor being on the show right here, and appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. Stacy Morgan from Morgan Man Sports. All right, DJ, you got stuff going on both at High Low and at Belly Up. So inform the people of all the content you're putting out in the next week or so.
So once again, you can find me and my co-host Kelsey at Everything High Low Sports, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, at Spotify, everywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And of course, you can also catch us on the Belly Up pages every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Next Wednesday, we will have our last mock draft. I've been doing mock draft Mondays the last month and a half. So next week, there'll be no mock draft Monday, but Wednesday will be a live mock draft with me and Kelsey alternating picks to find as much chaos as we possibly can leading into the big night, which will be Thursday. Live Belly Up Sports first round. You'll have the pleasure or unpleasure of dealing with me pretty much the entire evening as we go through every pick, reactions, analysis, breakdowns, top players available, all the trades, everything you could imagine, with me, Vince, my co-host Kelsey, and a host of other people across the country just enjoying the NFL draft. It's one of the best times of the year, and that first round is, especially this year with how the prospects layout, is going to be an absolute blast and probably chaotic.
Now, I'm not a gambler, but you help lead up the Belly Up Bets side of things at Belly Up Sports. And the last time I looked, quarterbacks in the first round was 4.5. I don't know if that's still the case or not. I would go under 4.5, and I would do it confidently. What are your thoughts on how many quarterbacks go in round one?
I will say the state I'm in actually doesn't have gambling on the draft legalized. I do it on anything else, but I can't see the draft odds. But if it is 4.5, like you say, that we're smashing the under. I think 3 is the max. This feels like kind of 2021, where everyone was talking about Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett. There's one, Matt Corral. Like, it could be Malik Willis too. We got one at Kenny Pickett, and that's the Steelers reaching, basically. Yeah. I think this will be a condensed version of that. We'll see Cam and Shadeur almost for sure, and maybe Jackson Dart fits in there, and maybe Jalen Milroe squeaks in at 32 because someone comes back to get him, because the NFL invited him to be in the green room, which they said they don't want people waiting around. They don't want people going into day 2. So they know something. they know somebody's planning something. I don't know what it is. So I under 4.5 for me too. Like we're hammering it.
Yeah, I feel like same thing. I feel like a lot of this talk about Tyler Shuck being this guy that's going to go above Jackson Dart. I'm like, there's no way, man. And I feel like the Steelers have led this push with now they're being told, we're being told Shadeur Sanders at 21, he's not going to make it past the Steelers. And I feel like they're just begging teams to trade up ahead of them to take Sanders so that they can have someone else fall to them at 21. And I can't believe Tyler Shuck, 25, not a huge issue, but lots of injury issues. I just can't imagine someone wanting him that badly that they can't wait until 33, 34, 37, whatever, first couple picks of the second round to get Tyler Shuck. Jalen Monroe, he got the invite. It's signs pointing to someone going up. Giants makes sense in the sense that Brian Daboll's success has fit with that body style, but he doesn't throw the ball like Josh Allen. So I'm not sure that makes sense either. I think he'd be a great backup in Baltimore and a great spot for him, but Baltimore's not taking him in the first round. So that's going to be a fun conversation to be had next Thursday as we get into to the weeds late into the first round, looking at quarterbacks.
I'll go and date myself on this one. If someone takes Tyler Shuck in the first round, it's going to be Brandon Weeden all over again.
Yes.
Just without the college production, because Brandon Weeden was at least awesome at Oklahoma State that last year. Tyler Shuck, he throws a nice looking ball. Like, it looks good when he throws it, but like you said, he's 25. At no point at Louisville did you watch him back. That guy is going to play on Sundays. At this point, it's the quarterback fatigue, the quarterback overconfidence, like Tanner McKee a few years ago when people were really high on him. Granted, Tanner McKee is way better than Tyler Shuck was, and was younger, had more room to grow. So I don't see it. Same with Jalen Milroe, maybe someone just is like, we have 2 years, we don't even have to play him. Not many quarterbacks run a 4.39. We'll take a shot at it, but I don't know about the first round either. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's 2 guys with a first that you can take in the first round and be okay. Maybe 3 with Jackson Dart, maybe, but I don't know. I feel like at this point you're just better off taking one of the offensive or defensive line than that the draft is deep in and just moving it down the line. But the last thing I'll throw in there, because I know I've been rambling, Shadeur Sanders is better than a lot of people give him credit for. I think he's comfortably locked into QB2, and I agree, but he's closer to Cam Ward than I think people give him credit for. Because even though his name is he comes from the primetime lineage, and he's very loud, his game is so meat and potatoes. Like, he can easily be Brock Purdy, who at points is a top 12 quarterback. That means 20 other teams will be like, yes, please. So I think Shadeur could very easily be Brock Purdy-esque. It won't be pretty, but it will work.
I think Shadeur, he's so different than Cam Ward. Exactly. And that's where the divide comes, I think, the most when people are trying to rate people. But I think the fact that Sanders, he does have a great quarterback mind. Mm-hmm. He understands the field. He sees the field really, really well. So he doesn't have all the arm talent that some quarterbacks have. And he doesn't have all the athleticism, surprisingly enough, that some quarterbacks have. But I think if you put him in the right spot, I think if you throw him in the NFC South, put him, he's not going to get drafted by Atlanta, but you put him in Atlanta, you put him in New Orleans, really you put him in any dome, I think you're setting him up for success. And when Cleveland announced they're going to build a dome, my first thought was, now it makes sense for Sanders to be drafted to Cleveland, because in a couple of years they'll have this beautiful dome stadium, and even though it's Cleveland, they won't be out in the elements. But I don't know. I'm intrigued to see where he ends up. Like I said, I think the Dolphins are a sneaky team at 13. And if he gets past that top 10 range and someone doesn't move up, I mean, I've always been down on Tua, so that's probably leading into this a little bit, but why not take Shadeur Sanders? You got Tua for this season, and then you can let him go and not worry about his health risks anymore. Trade him. Somebody will take him. And then you got Sanders for the future. So I don't know.
We'll see. Favorite spot for him. It won't happen, but it remains number 6 to the Vegas Raiders. Especially now, Geno, you could let him sit for a little bit, let Geno just cook. With Shadeur's accuracy, ability to read the field, what better weapon to have than Brock Bowers? Someone who just gets open quickly, maneuvers the field. Tom Brady was his mentor growing up, apparently. Tom Brady, co-owner. It makes so much sense, but it won't happen now with the Geno Smith and all the money they're giving him. And if they do it 6, I'm going to be clapping on the live stream, because it's a perfect fit. And you mentioned the dome. You're playing on the West Coast for most of your games too. Kansas City's the worst place you're going to play. No, actually, Denver's pretty bad too.
Yeah.
More often than not, though, you're going to be in pretty decent weather. So I would love Shadeur to go to the Raiders. I think that's the pick they need to turn things around.
And the style of play is so similar with Geno and Shadeur. So your system doesn't have to change. Like, you can build it for both of them. And I think Geno is a good teacher too. And there's actually a ton of similarities, I think, between Geno and Shadeur, where they're not bad athletes, but they're not what you expect oftentimes either. So I'm intrigued by that. Draft's gonna be fun, DJ. I'm excited to join you and Kelsey, be around for several of the picks and different things, thoughts throughout the evening next Thursday, and your mock draft again on Wednesday on High Low Sports. So DJ, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for taking some time for us tonight on the Sports Stove, and we'll see you very soon.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure being on here. Thank you guys so much.
Yes, sir. DJ Stewart from High Low Sports. And earlier we had Stacy Morgan from Morgan Man Sports. And then, of course, Dad, as always, on the program, too. So we sure appreciate you tuning in to tonight's edition of the Sports Stove Football Show. Follow us on social media at Sports Stove. And make sure you check out Righteous Felon Jerky at righteousfelon.com. Use the code STOVE15 for a 15% discount at purchase. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you around the Sports Stove.